Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of How Uncivilized. We're back again, and delving into the mystery of the mysterious box that is mystery box storytelling. In English, that is, how did Maz get Luke/Anakin's lightsaber? We're continuing on from episode 11, so go back and listen to that if you haven't already. Now strap on your jetpack as we head back to the union dispute of Star Wars speculation. Enjoy.
I pretty much found a few of those theories that you found as well. Mm-hmm. But I actually I found a theory, but then put my own spin on it. So there's another one.
Cool.
Mate,
Go for it.
you. And that theory is that Maz is Lady Yoda.
Oh, okay.
So it's the theory is Maz is very connected to the Force and can see that it was her Star Wars destiny to collect the lightsaber from a crevice in Cloud City and bring it back to her little castle in preparation for Rey's collection.
Yes. Very good.
Mate, there's some really cool ideas about Maz, you know, what she possibly could be capable of. Yeah, no, I've got a little segment on that, but we'll come back to that later, mate, you know,
absolutely.
Dip into the yogurt pot of knowledge, I'm sure. But yeah, no, those are some amazing theories, mate. Do you have anything more on Maz?
Essentially, I kind of just wanted to take time to say how cool she was in The Force Awakens and how uncool she was by the end of episode 9. She's another one of those characters who, again, they just didn't seem to know what to do with. Even in episode 8, it was kind of like she was just there in an almost blink and you miss it scene.
Speaking of which, mate, I have done a lot of research into that one as well, mate.
Oh, into the good old union dispute.
Exactly, mate. So I have a few more questions on that. So I did a whole little research bit into that.
Yeah,
so
go for it.
There are a couple of questions here that I looked into, which were what was going on with Maz during The Last Jedi, and why was this union dispute more important than the fate of the galaxy? So I did a bit of research into that. I thought I'd discuss it with you, Charles. So see what you think. This is the context of what she was doing in Last Jedi. So Finn and Rebound Rose contacted Kanata to ask for her help breaking clearance codes. So apparently she's been around for thousands of years. I'm sure she's an expert in everything. Probably Wing Chun Kung Fu as well.
Yeah.
She probably knows everything. But yeah, so she...
Give her the lightsaber and, this could have been solved.
Just watch her go. Yeah, I'm sure she'll
2
knock it
movies
out the
quicker.
Park. So while she was being contacted, it said that Maz had endured 67 injuries, of which 22 were considered life-threatening.
Oh, God.
But she still had time to answer the phone.
Wow.
She still had time to answer the phone to tell them, no, she can't help. As she was in the middle of a union dispute.
I'm just imagining them ringing her and it's just like a hologram of her dead body. It's like, oh no.
We
God,
missed the
that's
boat.
horrible. Oh dear. R.I.P.
Mate.
I guess, 1,000 years young.
But mate, that's what I don't get. Just don't answer, and then that in itself is no. If you're running around trying to not be hit by all these flipping bullets and die, 27 life-threatening injuries, Charlie. 22 life-threatening injuries.
Oh, man, so much so they had to replace her with a puppet in episode 9.
Exactly. I mean, you should have said. She was just flying around in that hologram, wasn't she? She was just flying around, shooting people up. And when she says union dispute, it actually means she's in a firefight. The union dispute, there's actually no knowledge of what the union dispute is.
Okay.
But we can assume it's just she's shooting shit up, man. She's just going around blowing shit up.
I almost imagined it was her way of saying like, "Oh, I'm in it's a union dispute." You know, it's not a battle or anything. It's just a bit of a debate going on, bit of a ruckus. You know, nothing to worry about. You know, don't worry about the fact that I have 27 life-threatening injuries. You know, just
exactly,
it's all fine.
Just downplaying it, you know.
Yeah.
Nah, she's great. She's great. But yeah, obviously, that in itself then leads on to that bigger question that I asked, which was why was this union dispute more important than the fate of the galaxy? And so I did loads and loads of research. I pulled out every single stone, but found absolutely nothing. I just found loads of different articles saying, oh, Maz Kanata's role in episode 8 is explained. And it's like, yeah, her role, it's she introduces them to Benicio del Toro. Oh, great, cool. Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is what she does. She introduces the characters to someone who's apparently just as good. Well, it isn't actually Benicio del Toro.
It's
obviously that leads into
Justin
it's this
Theroux's
random
character, isn't it?
Yeah, this random code breaker, whatever.
Yeah, who hasn't she supposedly like slept with him as well, which is a whole other weird.
I had no idea about that. That's quite the theory.
I can't remember exactly what she says, but she's essentially like, "Oh yeah,
he has like a bit of a past or something."
Yeah. It's like how it's like how Chewie is her old boyfriend. You know, clearly there's some weird history with Maz.
Yeah, definitely a lot of interesting, weird. I mean, she's got 1,000 years to fill.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sorry, 1,008.
Very true. Don't forget those extra 8 years. Very important.
Exactly, 6 of which were in pure adolescence. The 7th, she went into a murdering maniac with a whole connection tree of various smugglers and villains. I don't know.
And Justin Theroux.
Exactly right. We can only assume that in her species, the 7th year is a very important year for development.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I actually, to answer the other question, I came up with 3 theories to try and, quench our thirst for this. Because if we're assuming that the Star Wars universe is a real universe, we're assuming things are going on that we can actually understand.
It's not real, Spencer. It's a fictional. I hate to tell you this. I mean, we're on episode 11. Have you thought this is real this whole time?
Shut up, Charlie. Shut up. I used the Force this morning to make toast. Shut up. It's all real.
It's real to me.
Stop saying it. Stop saying it. Nah, it's definitely real. Whatever Charlie says, we're all Jedi in this together. I mean, everyone.
It was in a galaxy far, far away a really long time ago, so I actually have no way to prove you wrong. So we're just going to have to assume you're right.
I'm a Force user. You're a Force Gnostic, mate. You're not sure of it either way. But yeah, so I'll go through my theories. I've done them in what I would consider to be sort of least possible to probably most possible, most likely. So the first theory
is the robot chicken one your most possible one?
Obviously, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah.
No, but so the first theory is she's as important as Jar Jar Binks. So the theory is that she's just a massive red herring whose importance in the galaxy is beefed up way too high, and she's only an orange frog lady. I mean, what can she do? What can she do? She's not going to save anyone.
No.
She doesn't actually do anything except talk rubbish. I mean, she could just be on Star Wars style crack cocaine, just high off her tits, just speaking some random crap.
She could be the classic pseudo-intellectual, of not actually knowing anything, but spouting enough BS to make it sound like she actually does. Exactly. And then, when Rebound Rose and Finn ring her, it's she's just green screening it, mate. She's just making it all up, diving around in her little castle. Oh god, this union dispute. Oh flipping heck, diving. Oh wow. Oh no, union dispute. Critical. Pachoo.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, duck under here. Oh no, another life-threatening injury.
Oh, it hurts so bad. Yes, could easily be that. So yeah,
Quite
that's my
possible.
first theory. Yeah, that's my first theory. Moving into a more likely situation here. The second one is a wrong place, wrong time theory. So Maz just started getting shot. She got shot up at the time of The Last Jedi and was pinned down, so just literally couldn't leave. There was no way of her leaving in that time.
That's
she
true.
literally, had no way of getting out of that situation, pinned down by like
if only she had like some kind of jetpack or something to allow her to fly away from the situation, but who knows,
Mate, I doubt.
If only,
doubt we'll ever know.
If some butts were chocolate and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Too true. Well, I I actually think that. Yeah, I like that little saying, mate. Very good.
Thank you.
But yeah, I actually think that one is probably what they wanted us to think in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But it isn't, it isn't my favorite theory, my most plausible theory, mate.
No.
So the sort of the Prima Theory that I've come up with is the Union dispute is happening very far away.
Okay.
So I'll give you an explanation as to why I think that. So just like we don't hear or see what is happening in the east of Middle-earth in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But we assume that they too are fighting the evil forces in a battle just as important as the main ones. So sort of the dwarves and the men of the east all fighting together to stop Mordor, to stop, Sauron. My theory is that Maz is fighting the dark forces in a battle just as critical as the one that's happening in The Last Jedi for the universe, for the integrity of the universe. And, it's happening so far away that we don't know, we're not aware of that area of space. We're not aware what's going on. But given that if we're going philosophical, universes are as big as they need to be. They are continuous things that keep growing and growing and growing. There's no limit to them, it would seem so far. That would imply that there also has to be another cohort of planets and another cohort of people which are fighting far away against like some other dark forces, which could be again connected to the Emperor. We just don't know that. But yeah, I think that is the most plausible and interesting theory, given the character's sort of relevance that's made within the films. You kind of see things are sort of hinted at for her. It's considered that she is some kind of mystical character with unknown connections. And being around that long, she must know of these unknown regions, that are out there and what's going on.
That's really cool. I really like that theory. I love the idea that the battle against the First Order and against the Empire, it doesn't just happen with the kind of characters we see. It is a galaxy-wide thing. So seeing people fighting it across the galaxy, that would be something very cool to see. Something I would enjoy watching. Because you bring up the Lord of the Rings Battle in the East stuff. I recently reread the books, and in like the appendices, when it talks about the battle in the East stuff, that stuff is so cool. How it says things like this thing happened to these characters, and you find out that it's Dane, I never quite know how to pronounce the names. He actually, in this kind of last standoff on like, it's by the Misty Mountain where like the Hobbit is set. In that standoff, both he and I think it's Bane or Bine, whatever it is, who is the grandson of Bard who killed Smaug. Both of them die, but in like the final battle, like Bane dies first, and it's Dane like stood over his body, like fighting literally to the death, and it's such a cool, powerful image of like these two races standing together. And if only Star Wars was that cool.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like that's the thing with Lord of the Rings. Is that there's a universe there, but it's very well built.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lore. Tolkien never stopped writing. He never stopped creating. The universe expands further and further afield than we could possibly imagine across many, many thousands of years and ages.
I suppose that's almost a good thing about Star Wars compared to Lord of the Rings, is that Lord of the Rings was very much Tolkien's thing, whereas Star Wars has now become this thing where a lot of writers can contribute to it. So in a sense, there's no limit to really the amount of stuff they can create. So they can kind of get writers to fill out all this information. Like, yeah, what was happening literally during the events of 7, 8, and 9, just elsewhere in the galaxy? Like, what else was going on? Like, what was happening with Maz? What was she doing? All these different things you can explore.
Exactly. They're always
universe.
No, exactly. And they're always looking at films and series which happen outside of the films, which happen, between sagas or between films, never at the same time as the films. I think it would be really interesting to explore that idea because, the universe is huge and there is a lot going on. But I'd consider that theory the most likely for what was going on there, given Maz's sort of standing.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a bit of, the end of like episode 6 and indeed of episode 9, when you see all the planets celebrating in the exact same fashion. Funny that. But like it suddenly shows that, although this is like one battle happening here, like in Endor or on Exegol, it affects the whole galaxy. So show us the whole galaxy. There's so much out there.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's not so limited to what you see in the films. And the as I say, looking from sort of a physics point of view, a universe is continuously expanding because it is supposedly never ending, from what I can understand of universes. So it's really cool theory, really cool understanding of like the universe, outside of just what we see and what we get.
Yeah, but that's what I want to see going forward. Is you don't necessarily need to fill in stuff. You can just show us what else was happening, what other things were going on. Yeah,
or just literally, you could go so far afield that like. So far away, so distant that actually like everything's so different.
Yeah.
It could be set in the same universe, but just so far away that everything's evolved differently. And there are sort of, I know there are in the expanded sort of universe, there are different species and using their different understanding of the Force, but it'd be cool to actually see that.
Yeah.
How other planets and how other species evolved with the Force, used it, what weapons of choice they chose, how they use it, I think it's a really cool concept.
Yeah.
Expanding further than just the limits of, the Outer Rim and the Republic and whatever,
Go as far afield as you want, just make sure there's still lightsaber combat, because that's all I want as well.
Exactly. Oh dear. But that sort of sums up what I've sort of done a little research on, because I thought that was sort of a glaring Maz Kanata question, which, I guess you could consider as a Spencer bonus for this round. But I think it helps us give a better understanding of why she would decline that, because the battle's just as important. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so then I did a bit more research on, mystical Maz and...
mystical Maz.
Exactly, and her sort of powers per se. So I did a lot of research, and there's actually a deleted scene where Maz uses the Force against stormtroopers.
Oh, wow.
But it never made it to the final cut, or even the deleted scenes on the special features of the DVD. So there was an intent to show Maz using the Force and using her Force powers in episode 7, which makes me think that they were trying to hint at or in some way give us the opinion that she was an important character at some point and maybe still is.
Yeah.
I think there's an element to the sort of the George Lucas style story writing theory that the crazy wizard or crazy, insane comical character actually is like the master wizard.
Yeah.
Which supposedly, again, this coming back to fan theories about earlier on in Star Wars, supposedly that Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be the sort of the antithesis of Yoda, but in the same vein. So he was meant to be this crazy, mad, insane person, but then came as, would reveal himself as this master wizard, this master Dark Lord of the Sith, which I thought was a really cool concept. Now, my concept of that, if we're applying that to Maz, is that I think she was supposed to be some kind of neutral character.
Okay.
Someone that were like a neutral not a dark or a light side kind of mad wizard. I mean, she comes across pretty mad at the beginning.
Yeah. kind of a chaotic neutral type thing.
Yeah. That's there to sort of like, it's there as some kind of powerful force user with mystical beginnings and properties that makes us think, yeah, this person has a lot more going for them. I think that if J.J. Abrams had the whole 3 films, I think his plan, given this deleted scene that he would have directed and sort of maybe even written, it makes me think that he had a bigger purpose for Maz. Something along the lines of a force guide, maybe a bit more, maybe revealing herself to be a leader of a different force user society that isn't the Jedi or the Sith. I think that would have been a lot more interesting and a better use of her character. Yeah, it's like you were saying,
a push towards the more grey Jedi kind of aspect.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of theory. And it's like you were saying that she sort of, her character shrinks in importance and value throughout the new trilogy, which is kind
of like Finn.
Yeah. Two disappointments there. But it is said that Maz spent a lot of time around Jedi and learning a lot about the Force. Assuming, obviously the Jedi Order itself, supposedly before Yoda, wasn't actually necessarily a thing. There were just Jedi as such learning the Force. It might be considered that she was pre the Jedi Order and...
Yeah.
Well, maybe not pre the Jedi Order. I think that was still a thing, but maybe like... I don't know, she was an entity of herself that created something new and interesting that wasn't the Jedi or the Sith.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool theory.
Yeah. I put a little thing at the end here saying, an orange Yoda for a new age.
Very good. A lovely little overripe Satsuma for a new time.
Yeah, I mean, she was. She was.
Instead of a Brussels sprout, we have a Satsuma.
I mean, we certainly do. She is Again, I think she is a wasted character.
Yeah,
I think too much story emphasis was placed on Rey to no avail, really.
Yeah,
definitely more could have been done with Maz and Finn for sure.
Absolutely,
is my sort of takeaway from that.
Maybe you could have tied their stories together if it's something about breaking away from. You have this concept of Kylo and Rey, like the kind of almost the familial or the family connection of. Ben is of the Skywalker line, Rey is of the Palpatine line. You could have Maz and Finn be examples of, yes, they're Force sensitive, but it's breaking away from that Skywalker connection.
Exactly. And I think it would have been cool to see Maz sort of... Because I really... The thing I liked a lot about The Last Jedi in its plot was the idea that the Jedi and the Sith were sort of... They're old, they are over, they can't be a thing now. We've got to start doing something new.
Yeah.
And Maz maybe being the sort of the sage, the guide behind that, pushing that. Yes, like Force users that don't necessarily affiliate to anything, but are, you are Force users. You can teach these things to everyone.
I think that was one of the things of The Last Jedi was showing that the reason why Luke failed was that he was so desperate to be like the Jedi that had come before him. It made him afraid to try something new, try to actually grow. That's why, hence why he was so afraid when he saw that there was this darkness in Kylo Ren. He's like, oh no, is history like to repeat itself? I'm trying to do what the Jedi did and be like this. Always the light side of the Force, always in this mentality of the dark side is bad. But if only he had kind of been more almost neutral in terms of the Force, perhaps then Kylo would never have turned to the dark side and it would have moved forward as something new.
I mean, I've found it ridiculous, personally, in the new trilogy that they didn't explore the idea of more people wielding lightsabers and being Force sensitive across the films.
Yeah.
There is no reason why Rey should be the only Jedi. There's no reason for that, and they should have expanded it more. I think Finn should have got some training.
Yeah.
I think it would have been interesting. If you're going to grow the Jedi Order, it doesn't need to grow around someone that's considered to be a chosen one.
Yeah.
I think if that were the case, everyone in the prequel trilogy, all the other Jedi, would have just retired. Be like, well, Anakin's here now. It's fine. We don't need to be Jedi anymore.
Time to hang up my cloak and...
Exactly. We have one really powerful super Jedi, so what's the point?
Yeah.
I think...
I kind of
also
thought
think
that, like you say, that was what was going to be the message. Because when you think about it, the trilogies, when you think of the prequel trilogies, there's always imbalance in the Force. So the prequel trilogy ended with there being a dark side emphasis in the Force. The original trilogy ended with there being a light side emphasis on the Force. So therefore, it would only make sense that in order to keep that balance in the Force, there would be this kind of grey middle ground which would emerge from the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, to maintain balance and to maintain sort of like a newer, better way of doing it. If it literally, the whole idea of the prequel trilogy is that the Jedi failed, which they did, then why is no one ever learning from the lessons of that failure?
Yeah.
It's very frustrating for me that isn't expanded on a bit more. Isn't, like you say, I think it would be cool if they ended it on a sort of a neutral kind of note. I always felt that the idea of the Force being shared amongst everyone and the fact that like everyone, like in the same way that, you know, everyone can sing, they just need training.
Yeah.
You know, everyone can use the Force, they just need training.
Weird analogy, but okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, well, with anything really, I mean, you know, if you train in it, you can do it well. I think that should be the same with the Force, you know. I think that cool scene where we have that child using the Force to pull the broom.
Yeah.
That for me set up the idea of it not being limited to one character in the next film.
Yeah.
But that, you know, that was a shame. Hopefully there'll be plenty more films being produced. I've got nothing against more and more things being created, because the probability of me liking one of them is going to be, it's going to, you know, the more they make, the more high the probability is that I'll enjoy the story.
I think since we've been away, they've announced that Taika Waititi is going to be making a Star Wars film, or even a few Star Wars films. So that's exciting news.
That is exciting news. I'll get behind that. I enjoyed his work on Thor Ragnarok, and
absolutely, yeah. I like his actual films as they are. I like What We Do in the Shadows. That's a good one.
Oh, that's a quality film. Yeah. Worth a watch.
Absolutely, that and Hunt for the Wilder People as well. Both really good films. Both quirky and enjoyable, and really great fun to watch. So I'm excited to see what he does with the Star Wars universe, because he always seems to bring his own spin to things. Like when you watch Thor Ragnarok, it's very distinctive as, yes, this is a Marvel film, but it's also a Taika Waititi film. It's got his imprints, it's got his fingerprints all over it. That's what I want to say, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been clear for me that he's been good at storytelling and good at revamping characters, good at like taking fan favorites, but like tuning them up to make them more interesting, more developed.
Yeah,
I think there's room for that in Star Wars. I'm hoping the film will be something completely separate.
Yeah, me too.
And will be refreshing and interesting.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Although he's not too out there with what he did with Thor Ragnarok, he's not afraid to tread new ground, really. When you think about how much growth there was from the beginning of Thor Ragnarok to the end, like how much different the kind of Thor franchise felt, it was really cool to see that. So I'm excited to see what he can do with the Star Wars universe, of maintain everything we like, but push it into a place which is new and exciting.
Exactly, because Thor Dark World it wasn't my favourite, but I think he revived the Thor series by doing...
I quite enjoy Thor the Dark World. It's the thing of any Marvel movie I can sit down and watch and enjoy.
Oh yeah,
like,
I'm not saying it was awful. I'm just saying, you know, there's a pretty high standard for Marvel films.
Yeah, it was not necessarily bad, but I think forgettable is the word.
Yeah. Sadly, but you know, we do get a little trip back there, don't you? In the end game.
Yeah,
film, quite interesting. Anyway, we're veering off Star Wars quite aggressively.
We've mentioned Marvel, we've mentioned Lord of the Rings, all these. Yeah,
no, we're taking in all of fantasy here. Yeah. And do you have anything else you want to add on Maz?
Not particularly. No, only to say really that although we didn't necessarily get an in-canon answer of how she got the lightsaber, I'm not really too bothered. Like, it's one of those things of, I feel like the answer would be underwhelming, whatever it may be. Like, it'll always be the thing of, it was scavenged from Bespin and then she collected it. It's kind of, it reminds me a bit of the, no offense to the research you did in this question, but the how did Kylo Ren get Darth Vader's helmet? Where it's kind of, oh, it's cool to find out about the, stormtrooper retirement homes are a thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's kind of like, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's some...
No, it doesn't.
There's some off-screen story which happened, which resulted in it being in their possession. And that's the same with the lightsaber.
No, you're definitely right. The story not being told makes it in itself more interesting.
Yeah.
I think, seeing the lightsaber, not knowing how it arrived, it's a very, it makes it more mystical. And, I think that's the reason why Yoda's species has never been announced, or his homeworld or whatever, because the more mystical he is, the more interesting he is.
The more mystery. Like, I know this is completely different, but I recently finished watching Twin Peaks, and that's all about the mystery. And so, essentially, it's a bit like Twin Peaks, of you got to have that element of mystery, because that's what keeps things interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And they sort of pull that in again with Maz as well. She's a very interesting character. And who knows, we may see more of her. If she's lived for 1,000 years and is still nimble enough with 22 life-threatening injuries to be rolling around and shooting people, I'm sure we will be able to see her again.
Absolutely.
In some form
we
of
could
Star
either
Wars.
see her in the future, like post-Episode 9, but also, because she's been around 1,000 years, we could see her pre-Episode 7 as well. There's a whole 1,000 years of time there to explore where she could just pop up.
Exactly. There is just an awful lot of time to dip into that. All these people who are being offered up Star Wars films, apparently you just get a Star Wars film for turning up now. Everyone.
I mean,
I think
if they're just giving them away, I won't say no. Go on.
Yeah,
I'll give it a go.
Kathleen Kennedy, this is a shout out. If you want to give one of the scripts, free reign, a film to Charlie and me, would be happy to write you a well-written, well-researched, very interesting, jaw-dropping, climactic, perfect Star Wars film with everything fans want and everything newcomers will desire to watch. Then we are the team. We're the writing team you want.
I would point to our work on a parody version of Love Actually, which we did 2 Christmases ago for our band, The Armchair Captains. It really shows how we're able to both take a beloved source material and also adapt it for new and updated audiences whilst putting our own spin on it at the same time.
Oh, exactly. We have quite the writing prowess. I think that proves our credentials fully. There's no need to be able to, no need to do anything else really. This podcast also, proves that we are incredibly knowledgeable in Star Wars lore and won't be making any, won't be making a Johnson out of ourselves.
Yeah, willing to put in the research, which is more than what some people did. Well, anyway.
Anywho, well, I think for the Maz lightsaber debacle and all that's sort of surrounding that, I think that ties us up quite nicely.
This is
unless
the epilogue of our journey into Charlie's questions from 2015.
Exactly.
This is the Spider-Man Far From Home of the How Uncivilized podcast
We're just
universe.
mopping up the mess.
The HCPU.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Well, thank you for everyone that's been on the journey so far. It's been amazing. I've actually really enjoyed doing the podcast with you, Charlie.
Thank you very much.
And so far, so good. It's a really enjoyable little outlet, especially when we're locked down.
Exactly.
But especially before that as well, when we started it pre-lockdown. I'd like to point out this is not a lockdown podcast. We did start this prior to the lockdown.
Yeah, it just so happens that it's almost become our lockdown thing, but that wasn't the intention. We started this with intentions of recording it together, not over Skype,
Exactly. We wanted to be in the same room together, looking each other in the eye, face to face.
Yeah.
Dropping things left, right, and centre.
Alas, we are far apart, but thankfully still able to drop things.
Yeah, definitely. I dropped my notes just a second ago. I mean, no one heard, but
it's because you've moved away from the notebook onto just paper now. So
I am on just plain A4 paper.
Yeah.
Some things just deserve a bit more room, and I feel A4 paper does that. And definitely Maz was a question where we needed a lot more space.
It was an A4 paper kind of question.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for all who listened to us so far, all the way through all of our episodes. We'll have more content coming soon. We hope to be delving into the depths of Rogue One, I think, isn't it, Charlie? We're gonna
absolutely going from a trilogy which we to say have mixed feelings about is a mild way of putting it.
Exactly.
But Rogue One,
I think we've handled it with
Rogue One, which both of us love to pieces because that's our favorite film from the new Star Wars ones. So it'll be fun to talk about that.
Exactly. It's one of the most original films, written very well. It's got a very nice story arc to it. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it now too much, but but that
we'll have
will be
nothing
our
to
next
talk about
focus.
in the next episodes. Yeah.
So our aim is we're each going to watch Rogue One and set each other a list of questions.
That's the plan, yeah.
It could be as long or as short as we like. Who knows? We might have 50 questions again. That might last us another 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think they're all just going to be questions on Admiral Raddus. That's just what it's going to be.
Oh, I love Admiral Raddus.
Yeah.
Oh, he's amazing. What an amazing dude.
Yeah, so we're moving away from our traditional format to something slightly different, but hopefully still familiar to you. We're doing a hopefully what we'll dub a Taika Waititi of doing something slightly different, but in a vein which you will find familiar.
Yeah, please stick around. I know that it's been a huge success up till now. We've really nailed the format.
I mean, it's not unsuccessful. I'll give it that.
But yeah, we might shake it up a little bit, but as Charlie says, the core will be the same. But yeah, please keep tuning in. We hope to have another episode.
Dear God, please keep listening.
But yeah, hopefully we'll have more episodes coming soon, hopefully a week after this one's released. Mm-hmm. And we hope to, see you guys then for another dip into the unknown regions of space.
The unknown regions of Star Wars lore.
Exactly, yeah. With us two, the dudes at How Uncivilized.
Two cool dudes.
Indeed.
Goodbye, Spencer.
Good day, Charlie, and good day, viewer.
Good day. Goodbye there.
Do.
Thanks for listening to episode 12 of How Uncivilized. Now that we have finished my questions from 2015, we will be delving into the murky waters of our favorite Star Wars spin-off, Rogue One. Look out for it next week.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Reddit. How Uncivilized was created, produced, and edited by Charlie Union Dispute Feasby and Spencer, a good question for another time, Lawrence.